Hello, everybody. This is a Double OG's podcast. So this is me, French OG at French OG3 on X, and Kyle at Kyle Mastery on X. Kyle, how about you basically present yourself?
Yeah, so I run a dating coaching business. Very no BS, no high level woo woo fluff. I take what's working in the modern day dating landscape and I take you from point A to point B. What that point B is totally up to you. If you want to build a rotation, if you want to get a girlfriend, a wife, or you just want a lot of hookups, I've got the playbook for you and we can make it happen.
All right, cool. So, funny enough, Kyle just reached out to me before just to kind of like chit chat. And yeah, we basically developed this friendship. It's quite fun. And what was really interesting with Kyle was how he went from mainstream dating to his specific niche of dating, right? So can you tell us a bit more about your story, Kyle?
Yeah, for sure. So it really started a long time ago. So as early as I can remember, like the fourth grade, I was always a very social person and I was super in tune with what was considered cool or popular or not cool. And, looking back on it, that was actually probably a pretty big detriment to me at the time because I was way too overly analytical and in my head and just constantly like judging whether I said the right thing or not. And it put me in this state where I was very similar to Chase's backstory. I didn't put myself out there because I didn't want to make a fool of myself and risk my reputation. So all throughout like middle school, high school, and even into college a little bit, I just tried to put on this persona of somebody who would bring people to me, but I never put myself out. So I never embarrassed myself or like put myself out or got rejected, but I also never got any results either. And that was a really terrible place to be in. So, post college, I said, to hell with that. I'm going to go out and start making this happen for myself. But the thing is, I was really good, like I said, at SMV maxing, understood fashion, style, but there were bottlenecks in my game. So I went out and started trying to learn all this just by going out in the field and practicing. And I started out with night game, social circle game. I didn't really do online all that much. To be honest, I can't even remember why I didn't like try to get good at it at the time. I guess I was probably in that mindset of, oh, this is like the easy way out. And, only cowards do online, which I don't believe at all anymore. But so I did a lot of night game, learned a lot there. It was trial by fire. Day game opportunities were pretty like scarce in my hometown because it's very small. And then I was doing social circle game too. But there were still bottlenecks in my entire process. And we can obviously go into more details on that, later
Yeah.
on. But yeah, I had too many bottlenecks, and finally, again, through persistence and really like having that analytical mind, I broke through those bottlenecks, and I was able to set up the dating life of my dreams, really. And so that's why I have the blueprint. Is I've worked with experts in the field during my entire journey, and also I've practiced all this. I've put it all to practice in the field, and I've seen every situation imaginable.
Yeah. And but was there a moment where you just thought, you know what, like my shit's not working. I really need to address it. What was that key moment?
That's a really good question. There was this girl, super hot Italian chick, like my exact ideal type. And it was just the last straw. It was the last straw. I was like, okay, this isn't working. I'm going at this a little bit too in a tactical way. I need to readjust.
Mm-hmm.
And it just hurt so much. Like, because my big problem was the fact that I was delaying making moves. So I was trying to play it
Mm-hmm.
coy, do the whole mysterious thing, make her wonder if I was actually into her or not. And so my big thing is I always got that, oh, hey, I didn't really feel the chemistry text, despite the girl showing genuine interest in me, touching me, smiling, being really warm. So that was driving me insane. And it was just this particular girl where I was like, that's it. Enough is enough. I need to get back to the drawing board and readjust things. So it's just that, that one too many rejections or
Mm-hmm.
situations where things don't work out. And I was like, it's time to go back to the drawing board.
No, I get it. You know, guys, especially like many times guys, what they'll do is they'll see a specific girl they really really like, right? And they'll just think, I'm gonna change the winning way because she's special. It's like, yeah, but hold on, you're doing something winning way. If you change some, if you change a winning team, you're gonna lose. And then you realize, yeah, guys, and sometimes you say that when we talk, right, about potential clients and everything, is they never take action until the pain is strong enough. It's a bit like the company that is not going to invest in cybersecurity until there is a ransom that they have to pay at 10x the amount of the, of the software that would have saved them from it.
Oh,
So
100%. And that's exactly how I was operating is I was just trying to, be like, oh, the right girl, I still kind of had some of those old school beliefs of, oh, the right girl, it'll just happen. And so I realized, man, I've just been bamboozled my whole life by this lie. And that, no, you have to like take control and you have to make things happen as the man. And there's a tactical strategy behind it. Not that I believe in like the micro game stuff, like I'm not a big fan of things like building a story, push pull, angle your body language this way and that way. That stuff I just don't think moves the needle all that much. But there is a high level tactical overview where you do have to make the best move given the hand that you're dealt. And so when I finally realized that, I was like, okay, let's start looking at this a little bit more strategically. And that's how I was able to adjust and start winning.
okay, so let's say, for example, what would you say are 3, 4, 5 factors, that really helped you go from, I wouldn't say hero to from zero to hero, but help you 10x the results? What would be those factors?
Well, it's interesting. So my bottlenecks were texting, which that's I think is the hardest part of game.
Hmm.
Not being able to escalate properly. So like on public dates, I wouldn't make too much of a move because I always heard, oh, you want to save and build it up for when she's back at your place. If you make a move now, she's going to get her fix and she's going to disappear. And that can sometimes be true, but oftentimes then she'll wonder if you're interested or not, like you said, and then out of the ego, she might eject out. Whether that's she
Yeah.
thinks she can get you or not, I think is kind of irrelevant. It's just that
Yeah,
factor.
she
So I would say
ejects.
text. Yeah, she ejects one way or another. So texting, not making moves, and then the third one was not playing by my rules. So I understand that you have to meet the girl at some level, right? It's
Hmm.
dating is it's a little bit of a negotiation game, right? Like there's room for that
No, trust me, I know.
negotiation. Yeah. So like but I was going a little bit too much towards her and not towards my rules. Like for instance, I always knew it was good to have a date by your place. But pulling from a public date can sometimes be difficult. She comes out, she's got other plans afterwards. She's not really like in the mindset maybe to go home with you because no other guy is doing that. So I took it a step further and I said, let's actually play by my rules a little bit more. And so that mindset I started developing, and that was a huge game changer. It was getting enough volume. So that's the fourth thing, getting enough volume to be able to play by my rules. And not in like a tyrant way, but in a, hey, I know what's better for the seduction process than what the girl knows for herself.
Hmm. Yeah.
Doing better for her in the whole process. So when I got that volume, I was able to play by my rules more. And that was blew wide open.
All right, cool. But like, and before, like, you started online dating from what moment?
I was on the apps kind of since they came out, but I just didn't really take them seriously. So I remember Tinder came out in like 2015, but I was in college. So I had no shortage of like meeting girls in person. And I was at a party university. So I just never used them, never learned how to get good at them. And then post college, I was just on them, but again, just never really used them all that much because I was just doing night game. I thought you had to meet women in person and online was a dud just because I didn't know how to do it at the time. And then I
Yeah.
got pretty good at online from the end of 2021 onwards.
Mm-hmm. Not until 21. Yeah, so it was kind of like towards the end a bit of COVID and all that. Well, not the end bit completely, but kind of like COVID
Exactly.
made you have to be good online. I mean, look, it's the same story with me, right? Because I was originally shit online, right? I mean, even I think most people on Twitter, they think I meet most of my other girls online. I don't. It's not because most of the stuff you see, guys, is
For
just because I
entertainment.
love trolling online.
Yeah.
That's it. That's like, I think like a lot of those PUA guys, I think I'm an online guy when I'm just a night game guy. I'm just like, guys, like, I mean, I used to be doing a bit of day game, and I do sometimes, like you walk, sometimes you find something, you're like, yeah. But yeah, like, so what was the biggest shift in online? Like, let's say, for example, right now, you're mostly online, right? Like, you mostly do shit online, would you say, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've done my trial through day game. I don't really do it all that much unless, like you said, there's a good vibe with a chick that I see out and about, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just like a natural
Mm-hmm.
meetup. But yeah, I do mostly online. I just don't have the time or energy for night game right now.
Yeah, same. I mean, same thing. Old
But I did
man,
that for
man.
many years.
And past 30 guys. It's like, it's about time
Yeah,
to hang the cape. It's like those soccer, football, basketball. Maybe not, maybe basketball player. You can still have some few good years after 30s, right? Tennis players, like comes to 30, like, yeah, you're past your prime.
it's a
Let's say,
little bit.
at the very
Yeah,
least. And like Vince Carter, I've 1 year more. I've one more year in me.
he
Anyway,
was there forever.
I know, man. But anyway, so you got yourself with online, okay? So did you find that there was something that really boosted your stuff online in terms of results?
Absolutely. So, people have been following my content. You know that I am a huge proponent. In fact, I think it is step one to succeeding in the modern day landscape is you must get an elite photo shoot. So I happen to be near somebody who was able to satisfy that exact criteria. He was able to capture pictures in the most masculine, best way possible that is super attractive to girls. So, taking a few steps back, when I turned to focused online, I really refined my text game. And to be honest, having the bad, I don't say bad, they're suboptimal pictures
Mm.
was actually a good thing because it allowed me to refine my text game. So I got really
Mm-hmm.
good at texting because I didn't have that many leads to work with. So I had to get really dialed in with precision on my text game. And so that trial by fire through not having the top photos allowed me to really hack texting and learn it. And it's hard. Like I said, it's the hardest skill in dating because it's just this blank message with no tonality, no vocals, nothing. And you have to send it to somebody else who's going to interpret it their own way. So you have to consider all these different factors. It's the ultimate art and science combined. So I got really good at that, but I was like, you know what? It's time to take the results to the next level. And I knew the photos was the missing piece. So that's when I
Mm-hmm.
met Justin Harder. And he is the best dating app photographer in the entire world. It's a hard skill to be able to capture pictures in a way that are really attractive to girls. And the reason you have to do this, and I've talked about this on my posts several times. So again, if anybody's been following my content, they'll know this. On the apps, your social skills and behavior are obviously not there. You can't display that side of you. And that's what girls are predominantly attracted to is your behavior. Because of that, and looks are kind of secondary, you have to have the looks be that much better to make up for the fact that you don't have their primary attraction triggers available to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that girls are super savage about looks, just on the apps they are because your behavior is not there and that's what they respond to.
Mm-hmm.
So I understood that, and that's why I went with the best photographer. I didn't want to settle for anything less. And when I got that, it was overnight, just unlimited matches. I literally became what like a hot girl is to like most hot girls are on the apps. Just like
Yeah.
unlimited likes and unlimited matches. And that was what moved the needle big time because now I had infinity volume.
Yeah. I think, guys, there's something that guys need to understand. It's like, look, you don't want to settle for less. You want a baddie, but if you look like so fucking the dollar store on your picture on your, it's not gonna work,
Yeah,
is it? It's like, ask yourself, right? Like, you're a hoe on Figaro and you want to basically bang Elon. No, mate, it's not gonna happen, right? So, just 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 be some fucking cloud chaser on X. Maybe you have a luck anyway. But the reality is you need to have top level pictures. Put yourself like, when sometimes you have like a really, really, really hot chick and she's giving you one word answer. She's giving you very dismissive, like, type of undertone to her messages, right? Like, you're not that hot shit to me, right? Why? It's not because she's doing that bullshit that you're finding her attractive. It's because you realize how attractive she is that allows her to get away with that bullshit. She gets you in spite of the bullshit she gives you because of the looks, right? And the fact of the matter is, and that, not to sound too black pill, but on dating app is mostly look. It's mostly superficial. Sometimes people read my bio. I mean, I make some funny bios, right? And a lot of time I have girls, complimenting on it or laughing at it because they find it quite, they find it quite funny. But really, it's the pictures, and it's like the angles, the lighting, just the storyboard, because it's a storyboard you're telling. That will basically increase user number of matches. But what's important, what Carl said, is you don't become good at text game when you're playing on easy mode like the average bitch, right? You could get good at text game when you know that you're on a fine line, right? So I remember, like, there was a client, like, I said to him on this one, like, say, don't worry about it. You're just free rolling now, right? You're just free rolling. He said, why? Because this girl, so this girl thinks you're a tier 1 guy. What's a tier 1 guy? A tier 1 guy is that hot guy. So basically, you'll get away with murder unless you royally fuck up. And technically, that's what those pictures do, right? When you have suboptimal pictures, you're either a tier 3 guy, which is discarded straight up, or you're kind of like that guy that she'll be like, meh. But he's all right. But you are one or two mistakes away from getting shoo. So that, like, make your life easy, right? But it's not because you have your top level pictures that you can't that it will do the work for itself, right? You need to be able to lead the way through the date, right? You need to lead the way through the date, because it's like, if you have fucking shit text game, all the good pictures will, there's so much you can do, right? Think about, you're going to a shop and you have awkward sales assistant, but the shop looks great on the outside. You don't particularly need anything from the shop, but you really like what's out there, right? And you go in there, it's like, oh, it's nice. And then you have an awkward salesperson. What do you do, right? You're not going to buy anything because that salesperson is kind of a bit autistic. So tell me, isn't that something you find as well with some of your clients? At first they're like, well, it's fine. I'll just, now that I'm big balls with my photos, I should get bitches, right? What happens?
You hit the nail on the head. A lot of clients who come to us for the photo shoot, the reason they like the service so much, one, they do understand its importance, but two, they think it's going to be a cheat code, silver bullet a master key that's just going to unlock unlimited puss. And what they realize is, like you said, it gives them more of a margin for error. But as we know, women have so many options. So, like, still, it increases, it helps you with the margin of error. It's not razor thin anymore, but they'll still move on pretty quickly if you make one too many mistakes. And so these guys who do these photo shoots, they're like, oh, perfect. All these girls are just going to swarm me and they're going to be asking me for dates. They're going to be telling me to come over, and it's just going to be instant, nonstop, getting laid 3 to 4 times a week. But the problem is, guess what? They get on the apps and they realize, shit, there's actually another component to this. And so I do truly believe it's a 50-50 split. Maybe a little bit, you could argue maybe 60-40 in terms of the photos, because they give you that margin for error. But you have all these leads, it's like, but then if you don't know text game, you're going to let them wash away. And it's a very common problem that we see, is that they get on the apps, they have zero texting skills. They're absolutely horrific. And there's nothing wrong with that. Texting is not intuitive at all. So it's nothing to be ashamed of if you're bad at it. So they get on the apps, they start texting, and then they just keep getting blown out over and over again. And then they realize, okay, we need to get our text game refined. And the scary part is, I bet these other people have other bottlenecks too. They probably don't really know how to run the dates. They don't know how to get the girl back from the dates. So one bottleneck in your whole process can ruin the entire thing. But the most common one for sure, I would say, is the lack of photos and then the bad text game. Because if you can't get her out on the date in the first place, you can't show her that in person charm.
Yeah. You know, it's and also another thing which is important to know is the fact that you can actually do everything right and still not get the date because she flakes or whatever.
Yep,
And
something
it's
else
like it's
happens.
also about having that confidence that you did everything right. But also it's important. A girl will sense energy on text. Even though it's not intuitive texting, she'll sense the energy. It's like if you text like a boring guy, she'll know you're a boring guy. And most likely she's right. You're a boring guy. No, but it's true. It's true. And it's like, but the funny thing is, there are two different type of people I find on text game, right? You have the over eager, because and generally what happens is that over eager is someone that is actually quite jovial, quite lively in real life, and he transposes that onto the text. And then because of the very dry nature of texting, it can seem very overbearing or very even I would say even needy to a girl, right? Because it's like it's supposed in texting. It's almost like there's this underlying tone that you need to be a bit aloof, type of stuff. I find that personally, right? And that's maybe because I'm in the UK. But the other thing is the guys that speak like they're fucking chatbots. I mean, don't get me wrong. You have a lot of girls that speak like chatbots, but they get away with it because they got tits and ass. But guys, if you speak like chatbots, they'd be like, well, I don't need to go on a date with you because I already know that I'm dealing with some guy that is just a human version of ChatGPT without all the knowledge. You know?
Yeah. It's so funny. It's hilarious you bring this up. So one of my clients was actually using he's in college, so he's obviously a total newbie. I didn't know shit in college except for just like how to flirt and like in-person game, but I was horrible at texting it. He has no clue what he's doing. So he used a chat bot, and he said things would go well when the girls would reply how the chat bot was telling me they would reply. But he was like, as soon as it goes off script, I'm totally lost and I have no clue what to do. So that was why he came to me for help, because he realized, hey, I actually need to learn the fundamentals of texting, because the chatbot will only take you so far, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? Actually, right now I'm currently in the process of building a bot where they'll just look at my way of structuring, for example, responding to shit tests, just leading the communication, the conversation, my way in a way because like when people see my Bumble chats and everything, they don't realize that I'm actually 2 or 3 steps ahead before the girl because I already know how the girls will respond. But I just want to corner her in order to get my fucking jokes for the content purposes. But if I want to go on a date with a girl, I know already what I need to do, what I need to say, and more or less use and pick what she says. But the problem is, I've noticed. I went on ChatGPT earlier, right? And I'll say, what? How would French OG3 on X would respond to this? And the response was ChatGPT. I was like, oh my god, this is never in hell. So fucking try hard. So not me. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's why I want my own thing. And it's like you may think, and sometimes my clients, when they don't have time, they'll do something similar. And I look at, and it's like, well, she didn't go on a date with me. And I was like, I look at the text, it's like, yeah, but like this, that shows non-confidence, that shows insecurity. You shouldn't have said that. But the chatbot said this, right? Like sometimes I look at how would this chatbot respond to shit tests, and I'm just like, oh my god. Sometimes there's some not bad stuff, but some of the stuff is just like because it doesn't understand the logic behind the reframing. It doesn't understand the logic between the misinterpretation. It is good in terms of understanding the concept. It is good in terms of understanding the general overview, but it's lacking in terms of versatility of wit. It doesn't have wit. And I think that client of yours must have had the problem that problem too, because when someone goes off script, it's about you adapting on the fly.
Exactly, because with texting, there's instances where you'll run into where it requires that wit. Again, because this is where human beings are still head and shoulders above AI, is that EQ aspect. Basically, just like, I don't want to sound too woo-woo here, but you're just sensing through the ether that connection. And that's just something that AI can't replicate right now, at least not right now. And I think it probably will be a little while before it does that. Yeah. So it's really good, like you said, at understanding the concepts. But when you really need that extra level of wit, or when it goes off script, you're going to be toast if you don't understand the fundamentals. So if you can pair understanding texting fundamentals and concepts, and you pair that with a chat bot for help, that could definitely be something that's super helpful for sure. Because this client of mine, I got him squared away pretty quickly because he paired the fundamentals with the text assist bot.
Yeah. So there you go. So it's not only about getting good pictures, but it's also about being able to lead the date. But bear in mind, it's something we always joke, right? It's like we're always wondering how many bombs we're gonna have to defuse before a first date, right? Tell me. So that's the thing. The bomb to defuse is kind of another way of saying shit test or just kind of like nonsense because most of the girls out there don't have any game. So it's like, and we'll almost make sure to sabotage everything. So it's about you having the patience. I don't have that much patience myself, but for clients I do, uh, to actually not fall for the traps. Can you talk a bit more about your experience with them?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, I think, the biggest problem that guys face who get into game. So they get into game, they understand that it's tactical and strategy, but what they don't understand is there's times, situations, behaviors where it's time for you to pull back. Try to get her to shape up first, right? Use a takeaway. Do something to see if she realizes her stupid mistake and then shapes up and gets back on your program. But if she doesn't, then you got to move on. So the key to being successful with dating, especially in the modern age where there's a lot of toxic social media programming, is recognizing diffusing bombs versus what's required for a normal mating dance. So things required for a normal mating dance: texting skills, knowing how to set up a date, knowing how to deal with legitimate objections, right? Like, oh, I'm not that type of girl, or stranger danger concerns. So that's part of a legitimate mating dance. So date setup, how to have a conversation skills are important. Knowing how to be that fun, flirty lover bad boy that I always talk about is so important to succeed versus coming across as the nice boyfriend. Knowing how to make moves, how to get her back to your place, how to escalate, how to retain her. So there's more to it, but that falls under the category of like a normal mating dance. Diffusing bombs are things that she's doing that's irrespective of your game. So you didn't do anything wrong to trigger her to do this. She's just doing it to be a pain. So things like, any of you who've done online dating will recognize these. So she tries to do Snapchat and Instagram over giving you her number. It's not a big deal to give out the number. She shouldn't be giving you shit about that. So you want to deal with that. And if she still tries to insist, I'd say just move on. Another bomb is her insisting that you meet halfway for the date. It's like, no, we're paying for the date. We're the men. We're supposed to lead. So you come to my date idea. Unless you're suggesting dumb date ideas, that's a different story. That is your fault. But if you're just suggesting like a drink and she's like, "Oh no, come to my place. Let's go hiking or something," or not come to my place, come to my area for a public date. That's a bomb. Um, and a few others that you could deal with too is, if you have good pics, she might keep insisting that you're AI, even though you've sent her a selfie to prove that you're real. Again, that's another annoyance. Her trying to force you to wine and dine her, it's another bomb. You don't want to put up with that. You can be a little bit lenient on the date time frame. That's fine if she's more inexperienced and just needs more time to get comfortable. But if she's really insisting on a wine and dine experience, that's something you don't want to put up with. So the ability to understand the difference between these is really going to help take away a lot of your frustration in the dating game stuff, where you don't have to keep spinning on the hamster wheel to try to deal with, because it's just pointless BS.
Yeah, yeah. No, the thing is, I frame it differently. It's like, is she of good faith? Is she of bad faith? If she's good faith, great, right? Like, you could even like give her a little bit of leeway. Like, for example, and that's how we're gonna segue onto the main title of this podcast, which is basically uh, going straight to home dates, right? Like for me, I don't personally uh, fancy that. Why? Because I like my narrative, I like the thing, but it's not because I judge it morally wrong or not. It's just that it's a bit like, I'm a gambler at heart, so I like to not know that there's the outcome when
The
I'm going to
uncertainty.
casino, right?
Yeah.
It's like, but if you just basically want to have something that is sure, certain, like a banker's bet, that's something you can do, and doesn't mean that that it has to be for a short term, right? The point being is, appreciate if she has good faith, that what, maybe you suggest something, and she say, "Oh, can we do a public date, for example?" Be like, "Yeah, why not? Because actually, I quite like you. I'll just be like, I'll tolerate a bit more. I'll be a bit more lenient depending upon how good the vibe is. How good the vibe is, not because how much you like her physically. Difference, because how you like her physically generally makes you overlook a lot of the bullshit, right? It's about how you genuinely like the vibe that she's given you, which is two things different. Because then it's kind of more of a give and take type of stuff. Yeah. And bad faith is basically when they're just making sure, when they purposely want to fuck things up. Or they're too fucking dumb to know any better, and especially not listen to men. And generally, if they don't listen to men, there's a reason why they're still on the market, because nobody's fucking buying them.
Absolutely spot on. And the reason, so I'm a big fan of the straight to the house date for one main purpose. Well, I would say a couple, but the big one is just to help guys break a dry spell. They need some momentum. They need a win. They need a confidence booster because they're going on all these public dates. They're not pulling the girl home, and they just keep going on these dates and not getting laid at all. And you can't get and even if they want a girlfriend, you can't get a girlfriend without having sex with her first. So I really worked hard on honing in this process really to help clients who are having, because I did it myself. I'm a big fan of the straight to the house date because it's chill. There's no overbearing loud music. There's no people breathing down your neck. You can just relax in your home turf, your environment. So that's my first favorite date type that works really well. Like I said, for guys who are really just trying to break a dry spell, or they just don't want to waste a lot of time and they want to screen girls out. And then the second type is if she just wants you to come to her place, that's totally fine too. That's something not to be stringent on. And oh no, my place only, my rules. If it's in an intimate setting, like her place, that's totally fine. You can supplicate her on that a little bit. So that's why I'm a big fan of that process and setting it up that way. And like you said, if she's cool, if she's giving good vibes, she's not being a pain in the ass or anything like that. And especially if you're a beginner and intermediate, yeah, you can meet her. You can meet her halfway, and you can have her come to a date because you already proposed a straight to the house date. She gave a stranger danger objection, which is totally reasonable and understandable. And then you pivot to a public date and just see how the vibe goes from there. And then you go from that spot. The other reason that I think it's so beneficial is, I've noticed a lot of guys on X are aware of sleeping with a girl on a first date. Everybody's aware of that now. That used to be kind of like the unknown piece of knowledge. Everybody thought it took like a long process, but everybody kind of knows that now. And like you said, the girls who will resist that, they're in this perpetual cycle where they go on a date with a guy, they get the butterflies on the date, but they have hard rules and like, no, I'm not going back to your place. Well, we always talk about it. Women's emotions spike and drop real quick. So if you have a great date, she has the warm and fuzzies, but if you don't capitalize on it, then she feels disappointed after the date. And then she's like, oh, I didn't feel the chemistry. And then it's just a perpetual cycle she stays in, not realizing that she's the one cucking the whole interaction. So that's another reason I like it, is because for the most part, you do want to get to intimacy very quickly for that reason, because we're biologically hardwired to mate quickly when it's a good fit. So that can be a little bit hard to do if you're not good at pulling. And pulling is hard, especially if you're not within walkable distance to a venue. I don't know if you've ever had experiences doing night game where you're like a taxi or Uber ride away from the venue. Man, that phase from going from the venue back, it's a danger zone.
Man, no,
they panic.
I'll give you no. So it's actually quite funny because the two things I'd like to touch upon. By the way, just to for guys, if you really want to have like your picture, if you really want to up your game, right? Justin Harder, photograph. I'll put the link down below. He's in London on the 5th. He's got 2 or 3 spots left. I'm not sure. So if you're listening and you're watching it from here, I suggest you book with him because he's not going to be coming to London anytime soon. Otherwise, he's based in Tampa, right? And you just mentioned French OG, and most likely he'll give you a good price for it. On this, the other thing is, it's quite funny because what you're talking about, oh, I didn't feel the chemistry. There's not later than today, or yesterday anyway. It was one of my clients was like, I kissed this girl, it was like deep and everything, and like I didn't lead it up to the first date, right? I didn't lead it up to the full close because he said to me, I step on my dick because I said I have other things to do, right? But it was passionate kissing, it was all that stuff, right? And and then he showed me a text that he sent to her, like, oh, it was really nice seeing you, blah blah blah, right? And I'm just like nigga, you don't do this shit. Like, you're in the feminine role here, right? And she was like, oh well, I don't like the chemistry and everything. And he asked me, like, I don't understand. He's like, I don't understand. I said, look, can be a mix of both factor, either one or the other, if not both. I said, if you basically spike it up so hard that basically you give her the blue balls by not closing in the same day, she'll backward rationalize saying that it didn't happen for a reason, is because I was not attracted enough to him. Exactly, because she's ego bound, right? Everything is ego with her. So technically what she'll want is that she'll want to create a narrative that makes her look good and make the guy look bad, right? But she'll blame it on lack of chemistry, right? That's the first thing. The second potential option is she knows that basically is going downtown next date, right? So it's already telegraphed. So already she's kind of like, there's no mystery left. Like, it's like you hike up so much the temperature, in that thermometer, that when it drops down, it still feels so anticlimactic. And on top of that, by you sending the stupid text, what you're telling her is, I'm already sold on you, and you didn't give me the fucking cheeks. Like, fuck this shit, like, so. But again, it's a process of learning. And now you understand. Now, and it's those experiences that will teach you this, right? So that was something you said, right? Which was the Oh yeah, and the third one, like in night game, the way, I mean, I've had some fun experience in night game. I remember, like,
the Uber ride back, yeah.
The Uber ride back, right? The Uber ride back. But it just goes to show, right? Obviously, I'm not going to say any name whatsoever, but like, it was during the COVID period and everything was all fun and dandy and everything. Went to casino with a bunch of girls. Then, oh my God, I fucking lied to her ass like nobody's business. I told her I was a Bitcoin millionaire. Like, she boy hook, like, and sinker, because I knew the type of girl she was, right? And then went back to the Uber, fucking Uber ride of about an hour plus.
No.
Yes, an hour plus Uber ride. Anyway, let's say, well, I managed to make the most of it.
You have to pull a rabbit out of a hat to pull that off.
Well, no, but technically what she did was just basically give me a head, right? Not for the whole ride and everything, but then afterwards, like, the black man, the black cab driver, I was like, I'll give you a tip. Not my tip, but
yeah, not that kind of tip.
Not that kind of tip. But man, like, or sometimes, like, I even had like a girl that was literally going. And by the way, that woman now, she's married, she has got a dog, and I'm not sure she's pregnant. The guy has no fucking clue. Right? Like, or there's another one where it was often I was working, I was with not clients, I was with colleagues, and then on the way back, literally, we did in the cab, like, literally, and then when we arrived back home, she was being dropped at her husband and kids. How do I know? Phone dropped. I picked up the phone. That was the fucking wallpaper. Like, the thing is, you, like, in night games, you have the craziest of the craziest stories, right? But ideally, you want you want to reduce the risk of virtually changing her mind. Ideally not more than 15, 20 minutes, right? Those were kind of like outliers, right? So, and a lot of times like if you're going on public dates, two places generally tend to be like give her the impression that you've been a bit longer than before. So if two good bars, one after the next type of stuff, if you're not doing straight home dates. But now that we're going deep, and by the way, just so that you have all of this, we have all of this type of different strategies and all that on the community we have with 007, link down below, where I'm a coach. He's a coach. If you want, you can basically book a call with us and him or me, and we'll let you know a little bit more about it. But if you want to avoid the public dates, because I think like, what did you find? What was the thing that annoyed you the most with a public date? You think?
Great question. The most annoying thing with them was when you would have a good time, an objective good date. So I was at the level where I could easily assess whether it was good or not, or it was awkward. I've had enough successes to calibrate that. You'd have an amazing date. Things are going great. The chemistry is out of this world. You can just feel the sensuality between you two. And then she just decides, because she's a game player, her agenda, whatever, maybe she's just not feeling good. I'm just going to go home tonight. And some people might say, okay, well, maybe that means you didn't have a good date. But like I said, that's bullshit, because I can objectively assess whether a date is good or not. Like I've been at that level for a while now. And so I'm just like, man, this cucks the whole interaction. So why not go to your plan A? Remember, I said the objective is you want to get to intimacy typically as quickly as possible, or at least try. She'll respect the hell out of you for trying, because then you put yourself in that lover category, not the provider, the beta, the beta bucks. You want to avoid that.
Mm-hmm.
So just by you going for it, even if she doesn't want it, is better than trying to portray yourself as the boyfriend, because she'll fit you in that category as the lover boy. So that's what annoyed me the most about the public dates, though, is you're just not in an environment where you can get intimate if there's amazing chemistry, which is what both parties want. Girls will say, "Oh, I don't want that. Whatever. I want a guy to slow play." No, she's feeling it, and there's chemistry. She wants it, but then all the bad programming, agendas, the ego stuff to not increasing your body count comes in, and then just wrecks the whole interaction. But if you're in an intimate setting, both of you can capitalize on great chemistry. And if there's not great chemistry, there's nothing wrong with you two parting ways and you call it a day. But it's a classic case of us doing better for them than what they know for themselves, even though they might not think it's good to do it that way. So that's what annoyed me the most about the public date, is the inability to capitalize on great chemistry. Now, I still pulled from public dates for sure. I had plenty of success doing that. But there are too many times where I'm like, there's amazing chemistry and you weren't able to capitalize on it because of something going on with her or whatever. Like I said, her agenda, she wasn't feeling well. And then the courtship just goes up in flames because of what we talked about earlier. You want to capitalize quickly on that intimacy. And going back to the Uber situation, if you're not comfortable doing a straight to the house date for whatever reason, I have friends and some clients that just don't want to do it. I don't really understand their logic behind it, but that's neither here nor there. Make sure you're in a venue within walking distance. Now, the walking part is still going to be tricky because that momentum is starting to crash the vibe. So that's a whole skill set in of itself, is maintaining that. But if you're a driving distance, that Uber ride, because the Uber ride just screams slut defense, right? Oh, I'm going back to this place to get banged, and they're in their head now, they're out of their body. So at least get to an area where you're within walking distance of a venue.
Yeah, don't let her gain her head. Just let her giving you head.
Yeah, exactly. That's the head we want.
That's the head we want, not hers. Yep. I mean, yeah, but on us. So yeah, it's and it's about making it as seamless as possible, right? And sometimes, like you'll have the typical type of stuff, right? Like they'll say, "Oh, I can't stay very long." This type of stuff, right? I can't stay very long, and you're like, "Yeah, of course you can't stay very long." You soon, or sometimes even if they don't say it, when they come in, just tell them, by the way, at any point in time, if you want to leave, you feel free to leave, right? That's it. Like you kind of like already like diffuse any type of fucking anxiety and whatnot, right? Because you find like a lot of times
don't want to feel pressured. Yeah.
They don't want to feel pressured, right? Like you just chill. And the other thing is, you may also feel that they're gonna throw bombs even when you're basically thinking you're about to get in, right? What are the bombs that you normally get when you invite them straight to yours?
So I would say the main bomb that you'll run into is just the hard no. So she comes to your place, but when you go to escalate on it, she's giving you a firm, I don't want to do this. It's annoying, but typically either she's a time waster or an agenda girl, and those you just kind of want to discard. Like those are the ones you want to move on from because they're jaded. It's just not going to work out well. Or I've noticed too, there's another category of girls who they're not used to this. They've been interacting with betas their whole life. So because they're so hot, and they're cool too. They have good personalities. They're kind of forgiving of beta behavior because they like nice people. So she's just not used to moving this fast. So when you're moving this fast, it's getting her all excited, but she's just really nervous. And so she wants to wait. And that's okay. You'll get to see that girl again. And so that's the main bomb they'll lay on you, which you just have to be non-reactive towards and just be like, okay, no worries. I'd like to let things unfold naturally. That's fine. We can just chill. The inexperienced girl will love this answer. She'll love you for it. Now, there's other issues you'll run into that I wouldn't really classify as laying bombs. Would be part of the normal mating dance. The big one is a stranger danger concern. So you want to handle that, obviously, because they're getting in like a private setting with you as a man who's bigger than her. Or you'll run into the slut concern too. So those are the two ones that, and I would say the slut concern is kind of probably more so a bomb, just because it's like, come on. You should have already shown that you're a non-judgmental guy. So if you've done all that stuff, again, that's the skill part of it, showing her that you're non-judgmental. She shouldn't really be giving you that, but some girls are just way too overly concerned about appearing like a slut. So you want to handle those two, right? So the stranger danger objection, if you're going from a public date, you can just tell her, stop being silly. You've been talking to me long enough to know I'm not a serial killer. And you have that cheeky tone to it. And then for the objection where she's the slut objection, you just give her the same response to the one I said earlier of just, I don't have any expectations. I just want to keep spending time with you. I don't have any sexual expectations. And that gives her that peace of mind. Now, the other one that you'll run into too is if you don't connect well with a girl, she's going to hit you with I don't even know you yet. Either she's just being a brat, or two, you actually messed something up. And that is you didn't connect well enough with her. You didn't get to know her very well. So that's why she just feels like he's just escalating on me because he sees me as a piece of meat. He hasn't earned my affection in a way that they actually have a right to say that because you haven't gotten the time to actually get to know her. So from her perspective, she's just like, oh, I'm just a piece of meat. He hasn't even really gotten to know me or anything like that. So why is he even really attracted to me? So if you get that objection a lot, that means you just need to work on your connecting skills.
Yeah, because a lot of time guys are not curious enough. Just be curious about that person.
Exactly.
It's be curious, and once you're curious above just surface layers, they'll be like, shit, he's actually a chill guy. He's a cool guy, right? And you'd be like, and then the more she exposes herself, the more she invests herself in the process, the more she has to rationalize why she invests herself in the process, right? Okay, but then there's also a risk if you invest yourself too much. If she invests herself too much in the process, that she has too much to lose. Therefore, she's more or less likely to give it up. So it's about striking the right balance of being relevant enough for her to basically be like, yeah, to the point of not relevant, and not relevant enough for her not to give you anything. Because you can also be not relevant enough to the point that she feels like, oh yeah, I can give him sex, I don't give a fuck about him, type of shit. So yeah, it's a fine balance to strike. You know what? Actually, when I have time, I'll create an Instagram, like as a spoof Instagram of a serial killer, right? And then every time a girl says to a guy serial killer, you can go on the Instagram and be like, "That's me," all right?
You
Charming Prince.
Yeah,
you come, Charming Prince, the serial killer you've always been looking for. That'd be good troll, but anyway,
that's a perfect troll bag. Yeah.
Yeah. After the FIFA football cards, that's my next project. Anyways, so yeah, so So good. So, but Jenny, what happens after those girls like that you see on the on like do you keep them in your rotation? Like the thing is, how do they see that? Because a lot of times you'll hear women say like, oh well, if I sleep with him on the first day, it didn't really matter. I didn't care so much about him. Blah blah blah. Do they come back to you? Do they like you, or do they just basically just ghost and never come back?
I'm really good at retention. And the reason
Mhm.
for that is you kind of want to go. I'm hesitant to use this term because a lot of guys might not really understand the nuance of this, but it does illustrate the point correctly. After you sleep with her, go a little bit beta, go a little bit more lovey dovey. Tell her how much you like her as a person. Don't like, so start focusing at that point on compliments that have to do with providing more boyfriend value. She already sees you as a lover. So once you've already capitalized on that, now you can start revealing the more nice, caring side of you and really holding that in so she feels like it's an actual legitimate connection and makes her want to see you again because she doesn't feel like it was just a hookup. So that right there is the key to avoiding what you just referenced, is really making her feel warm and make her feel good. Don't give her buyer's remorse. If you just, it's okay. Let her, if you like her, let her sleep over. I know people say, oh, don't do that. Fine. If you don't want to do that, that's okay. But I'm telling you that that's going to be a good way to spend the night, is going to be a good way to hone in that bond. So if you want her as a
Look,
girlfriend or a rotation, then just be very warm with her after sex.
because what you do, the thing is, it's like that's what a lot of guys get it wrong, right? They lead with comfort, but then they basically it's hard to get attraction after they lead
They
with
do it
comfort.
backwards. Yeah.
Do it backwards, right? It's like generally you kiss first before you put it in, right? Well, it's the same thing. Here you're trying to put it in without kissing first, but it's a different analogy. Anyway, the point being is attraction first, boom, lover category, rubber stamp, okay, then you bring on the comfort for the comfort second, boom. Like for example, it could be something different. Like it could be something as simple like, you know what, you order, like you've got Grubhub, right? Like you just say, you know what, you want what, you want coffee? Oh, okay, you want a cappuccino with
Breakfast,
oat milk,
beautiful.
or that's how you order that in, and then she feels like, oh, actually, just it's something called aftercare, right? And also another thing, if as well, because the thing is as well for people, for guys that have got a lot of money, for example, you have to make sure that you save yourself against potential case of Me Too or anything. Because girls these days, look at all these movie stars or like this. If they smell money, they will want to basically take a stab at it and be like, oh, you know what, you rate me, all this, all that, right? Not only you do the aftercare, just to basically cover your ass, right, and have some digital trail by like iMessage, WhatsApp, whatever, right? You do that, and as well, she'll have something to say, something nice about. Oh well, thank you for the breakfast. It was all great, right? You really think someone that's sexually, molested, abused, whatever you want to call a woman, give her breakfast in the morning? Come on, you know. So, it's good to be a dickhead, right? But be aware that there are risks, and the higher you are on the SMV pool, the more you've got to lose. So don't use your ego to fuck you over. If it didn't fuck you over already with a girl, it will fuck you over afterward if you fuck the girl. You know, warning sign. If
Exactly.
you're a brokey,
It's
she
a,
has got no.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, if you're a brokey, you've got nothing to lose.
got
Anyway,
nothing to
go on.
lose. Yeah. No, it's a two pronged benefit, right? Like you said, it really helps to mitigate the Me Too risk, and it also again helps with retention. So there's no harm in doing it at all, because guys, it blows my mind. They do it completely ass backwards here. They act like the sweet, innocent, caring provider. They finally have sex with her, and then they go cold and aloof afterwards, and then they wonder why they can't retain a girl. It's like she already gave you the biggest form of investment a woman can give you, her body. So she's not she's not seeing you as a beta at all. That's
Thing
kind of
is,
out the window. Unless you start acting, really needy afterwards, yeah, that'll happen. But being needy is totally different from showing love and affection.
yeah, I mean, look, like for me, I don't mind. Like sometimes I don't text after. Now it really depends. It's really much on the fly type of shit. And to me, it's kind of like it defines how much she's interested in me, right? And it's not like a power play per se. It's kind of like more of an assessment. thing is, it's almost like an indirect way of seeing whether like she has a high or a low body count too. Because if she has a low body count, what's happening is like she doesn't want to feel like she's giving it so easy without any type of return on investment. So she's more enticed into actually reaching out to you, even though you don't. Right? That's the thing. Um, and if not, then I mean, like I even had a girl after. I mean, I really didn't want to see her again because she acted like a bit like a spoiled brat inside. And a week after, she said, "You want to do a threesome with my friend?" After I ghosted the first message of reaching out to me. Oh, well, yeah, she's into me, isn't she? Giving me that
Big
offer,
time.
but
Hmm.
but again, I'm like the aftercare, is to cover your ass, to cover your ass.
CYA, baby. Cover your ass.
I didn't even know that
Yeah.
expression. Yeah.
Yeah. CYA.
Would you have any type of other things that you have in mind that you would like to discuss that that has been quite key in your development, in your dating sphere or even as a dating coach, or yeah, anything that you think that would be relevant for the audience to learn and to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say overall, the biggest shift that will improve your dating life is screening and not being ashamed to do it, because you have a lot of like PUAs out there that they'll try to shame you for it and say, oh, you're just going for easy lays. That's bullshit. What screening does is it weeds out the bomb layers that we referred to earlier, and it weeds in the girls who are going to get in line with your storyline, with the story that you want to have unfold. So what I always see that's very interesting is when I have clients come to me on the first coaching call, I really drill in on what their actual goals are, not what they say initially. They're like, "Oh yeah, I just kind of want to get a nice girl," and I'm like, "Is that really what you want? Like be completely honest with me." I dig in it because I'll ask questions and I'll be like, "What prompted you to want a nice girl?" Then they start to reveal to me, "Oh, it's kind of what my family's pushing for. My friends, they all like nice girls. I actually think it would be nice to, maybe play the field. I don't have much experience. I do want to get laid more and test out different girls." So that leads me to realize that a lot of guys are being very dishonest with themselves about what they actually want. So I always say, get very, very clear with what you want, not what society wants, not what your parents or friends or family want. Get clear what you want. And then from there, that's going to allow you to develop your game plan to get to where you want to be. And don't be ashamed. Whatever your goals are, obviously within the bounds of the law, but don't be ashamed of going after what you want in your dating life. It's okay. Like I said, as long as it's legal, you don't need to be ashamed if you want to have a rotation, if you want to date around, you genuinely do want a girlfriend or a wife, that's okay. Just make sure you're being honest with yourself, because if you're not, here's the big problem. Girls are going to sense that incongruence. You're sitting here and you want to get laid a lot with different girls, but you're trying to like slow play it and make things work with this one girl because she says she wants a boyfriend. She's going to sense that. Girls have amazing intuition. They can sense that incongruence in your words versus what you actually want. So that's why you need to bring that subconscious to the conscious of what you really want, and then just unashamedly go for it, and girls will respect you for doing that.
Yeah, you're a guy. You got big balls. Come on, use them. They're not there for the trophy cabinet. You know, seriously, come on. And it's interesting you say this because ask yourself this, guys. In your life, the people that your friend that you're close with that are not your family, right? Was it easy for you to be friend with them, or was it hard? And I bet you it was most likely easy. You didn't have to fight for it. Well, it ain't different with girls. I promise you. The only thing that you're gonna get by working hard for a girl is not investment, it's disappointment, if not resentment. So appreciate when it's easy. Most likely it's easy, not necessarily because it's easy for everyone else, but because she likes you. And don't overcomplicate your life thinking otherwise. Screening is also, I don't know if any of you are in sales, but if there are problems before the sales, trust me, there are problems after the sale. You know, I don't know how old you are, guys, but I'm at an age where it's more money, less problem. More less money, more problem. But with girls is more well, actually more problems
More problems, but
before
not for
and
you kind
more
of money.
problems after. Oh, yeah, no, so more problems altogether. Yeah, no, but seriously speaking, that's the idea. And there was something I wanted to say just before we wrap up, um, which was keep the faith, keep the faith, improve yourself, not only for girls, but improve yourself from your mental health perspective, in the sense of you'll find that a lot of times, just for example, going to the gym will boost your confidence. You'll find that talking to a lot of girls will boost also that confidence. It's all external. Well, gym is a little bit more internal than external, but like with girls, very much external. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. It's so funny because Cal once said to me, like, girls, it's almost like have a hive mind brain, almost like there's a communication line whenever you're with another girl, like they start texting you and doing shit, right? And I was like, look, I'm open to the woo woo shit, but don't push it, right? But
It's undeniable. That was undeniable.
I mean, like that happened to me, but I'm just like, why? It must be like coincidence, right? And I had a couple of clients showing me the same shit. I just like, you gotta be kidding me, man! Like, and when they showed it to me, I was like, I remember what Cal said. I was like, yeah, you know what? It's like it's almost like the hive mind.
007 did a post about that. I remember he did a post about that recently.
Yeah, I'll have to ask him next time on the pod. But yeah, so. Also, being with other girls will show, like, I had a client. He scored the first dating app girl, right? And he, it was something completely new for him. It was something completely new. What was interesting about this was a completely crazy. His confidence was boosted. And it's just putting yourself out there. Yeah, a lot of time there's gonna be some negative outcomes, but it's about moving forward. No, like if you're in sales, you know that most of the sales calls ain't gonna happen to do anything positive. So appreciate that and just get shit going.
And that's why I am such a huge fan of screening. Not screening for easy lays, but screening for girls who are open to your seduction. She'll tell you if she's not comfortable with the face, but at least she doesn't fight you as before you even do it. Let her be open to your moves, and then if she wants to pump the brakes, you deal with that non-compliance at the time in a way that makes sense. But if you have a girl that's just guns blazing right out the start, then it's like you said, problem in sales before, problem customer after. Almost every time. So you want to screen for girls who aren't easy mode, unless that's what you want. That's fine too. Nothing wrong with that at all. We're all in this to get laid and be with hot girls, right? But screening is mainly for bringing girls in who are an open book. They're open to letting things unfold naturally. I don't like telling guys what they should want. This is one instance that's what you should want. You want a girl that's free of agendas and is open to letting you run your seduction on her.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's like people have agendas, right? But if you are emotionally intelligent, you know how to basically. Yes. Yeah, it's not necessarily halfway, but you'll put your agenda in the background because then you cannot be manipulated against yourself because you already know what. Thing is, girls are. Seriously, girls are fucking dumb. Like, they give me their agenda, I can know exactly what I have to say in order to get what I want, right?
Putting all the cards out.
What I need to do.
Yeah, that's showing you their hand.
So if you put your agenda. And on top of that, if you give your agenda to the girl, it's almost like there's no mystery. So they already fuck it up. They already fuck up the seduction process. Well, that's what happens when they're agenda front loading, right?
It's the same thing as when we say, "Oh, I just want to fuck." It's the same thing. Same thing.
Same thing. It's like they say, "Oh, be honest." Yeah, well, good luck.
Oh yeah, see how that works out. Don't take advice from the fish, right? Don't take advice from the fish on how to catch the fish.
Yeah, no, right. So going back onto what we're saying was, what was it? Well, I see this is old head right now. I've lost track of my thoughts.
We're covering a lot. We're covering so many different topics, man.
I know. Anyway, point being is it's not about you always having to get laid. Sometimes you want a relationship, sometimes you want this, but you cannot have a relationship without getting to that first barrier. And women are more and more, especially as they get older, they are more and more walled up. And so once you break that barrier, then you can basically work on the retention, and then you can see where you want her to, where you want this to go with that person, right, with that girl. So own that in, and then you can push it along. And yeah, don't. And that's what we're saying about the agenda, right? If she's very agenda front loading, reassure her, saying that you're on the same wavelength to her, right? And then her, like the same wavelength, so that basically drops her guards down. But it doesn't mean that you have to be boring about it, right? But yeah, I think we covered most of it. And yeah, screening will help you not only segment the right people, because at least you'll have positive feedback loop, and you can be building on that positive feedback loop, which is quite necessary when you don't have as much reference point and you don't have that much confidence. So that's the corollary to what you were saying. So
100%.
unless you have anything else to say, I'm gonna wrap up the pod.
That's it. I think we covered a lot.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. I hope you got a lot of info from this. If you want to get Carl's coaching, you can see him on X at carl.mastery. You can DM him, right? If you want coaching from me and 007, you can go down, as there will be a link for Club 007's community. I'm coaching there, right? Otherwise, there's my website at the bottom as well. And you can basically get tailored advice as to your situation. We also have consulting calls. Or I do have consulting calls too on an ad hoc basis. Anyway, on this, guys, I hope you have a very good day, and I'll speak with you soon.